Hey everybody, we are here with the Tuesday evening 5:45 p.m. ride workout review, and today we had base camp aerobic endurance, cadence 30-30s, which was not VO2 max efforts. They were just high and low cadence alternating, with some finishing fatigue resistance tempo. I have Sue up here for review. Sue's always on our evening ride, and we love seeing you. Thanks for coming again. So Sue had a great ride. You can see her workout tile is green, which is why I picked her for review. So I'm just going to go in and click analyze. And let's look at today's workout. So I'm going to hide the background workout in a minute, but you can see what we did. We had our standard warm up with the fast pedals, increasing power with increasing cadence. And then we did 3 sets of basically alternating high cadence and low cadence. And you can see the power zones. So I'm just going to show the zones. So these are basically your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zones you can see in the background. So not really a super hard effort today. It was mostly aerobic zone 2 with a little bit of touching tempo, but not too much. So I'm going to go ahead and hide those zones again. But what we did work on today was being smooth. And the topic of discussion, if you watched Tim's review this morning and watched his Nerdcast, was cycling economy. And so when we think about cycling economy, we're technically talking about the oxygen cost of maintaining a particular effort or power output, let's say. Now, we can also think of economy in the context of the challenge this weekend, where we're thinking about speed economy. So we want to go as fast as possible with the lowest oxygen cost. But today, just thinking about power output, what we wanted to do was work on being controlled and smooth in our transitions from high cadence to low cadence. This is important in cycling overall because if we are not steady and not smooth, we end up wasting a lot. So wasting oxygen, energy, and it's not ideal. We're going to end up fatiguing faster. The end result of poor cycling economy is less good or poor cycling performance. And so it's definitely something important to work on. Again, the 3 physiological factors that are going to influence your cycling economy would be your VO2 max, your FTP or your maximal lactate steady state, and your exercise efficiency or your mechanical efficiency. And we as humans are about, on average, 20% efficient. So meaning if you are exercising, about 20% is going to go into the actual work or kilojoules or your power to drive you forward. And then the rest of that energy is being released as heat. So it's lost as heat. And that's why you get hot when you're cycling. So how we practice this today was we started in erg mode. And that, again, controls your power output. So it forces you to be a little bit more smooth in the transitions. And you kind of figured that out where you had to shift a little bit maybe to control your cadence, but you weren't surging your power all over the place when you're in erg mode. And then you can see if I line up Sue's workout. Whoops, wrong way. I'm going to shift this a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to hide the workout. Let's do that. So you can see the first set here. It looks like erg compared to the other 2 sets. It is a little bit more variable, but I'm pretty sure she was in erg mode. But you can see her power is much more tightly controlled. All 5 of those 30-second efforts are looking pretty consistent. And then we flipped into incline mode where you have to make the power. You have to control the power and the cadence. And that takes a little bit of practice, especially if you're used to riding in erg mode. But if you're in free ride mode, like we're going to be this weekend in the challenge, and if you're riding outside, it's up to you to modulate and control your effort, shift in advance, and not be so surgy. So you don't want to keep shooting off the front or falling off the back. You need to be much more controlled. And that is also more economical. So you have less wasted oxygen costs there. And so that's what kind of we were working on in this workout today. So you can see the second set where we were incline mode, she was a little bit more all over the place compared to the first set. But then we talked about it just taking practice, right? So there were some little tricks like shifting to before the transition, um, not pushing so hard on the pedal. So really like thinking about like pedal pressure and cadence and things like that, being relaxed in your effort and anticipating the transitions between the two. And you can see how the third set here looks much better. The power itself, at least, looks much more controlled compared to the second one. There were some more bigger drops and stuff, but it is a work in progress, especially on the trainer where you have the speed of the flywheel and you're slowing down for low cadence. And so it's a little bit trickier, but working on it today is definitely going to serve you well for this weekend and the challenge because, again, you won't have a workout loaded. So you're going to be in free ride mode and you want to be able to modulate your effort, be smooth, waste less energy. So you want to be more economical. Use that cadence versatility. Now, when we went to tempo, we dropped the cadence a little bit. And a lot of you worked on this in incline mode, and you can see she was pretty tightly controlled there. If I drag my cursor over just the tempo interval, we did 12 minutes. And we can see that her normalized power, which is 110, we haven't gotten to this metric yet, but it is something we're going to talk about soon. And her average power are the same. And so that's something I mentioned too today. When you're trying to do steady state efforts or even endurance, unless they're intentionally like tempo with surges or over unders, we do want you to try to be steadier. It is more economical. You're going to waste less energy, waste less oxygen. And if you try to, being more steady, your normalized power and average power should be closer together. So Sue did a really nice job with that. Let's look at heart rate real quick. Again, you can see her heart rate's pretty steady. It starts to go up a little bit at the end, but compared to the high cadence, low cadence, and that third effort interval here, our heart rate is looking pretty good and pretty steady with the cadence shift. So if I show cadence, let's see. Oops. You can see how much lower her cadence was here. And, I think she had pretty good control of the effort. Again, working on low cadence and low cadence tempo is another way we can work on improving our cycling economy because that we're using less oxygen. Again, we're moving that load into the legs, into the muscle with that lower cadence. But going back to all the work we've done in cycle one, it's really to improve your aerobic system, your aerobic fitness, and your cycling economy. Again, those measures of improving VO2 max and improving your FTP. Specifically, we need to start with this aerobic foundation, the aerobic base, to establish that economy first, so we can see improvements in those other important markers later on, as we get through the program. But what we've been, really focused on is that aerobic volume. So higher volume, relatively speaking, lower intensity, but using a lot of that cadence versatility there to drive some of the important adaptations. So anyway, lots learned today that I think you can definitely use on Saturday for the challenge. It's all about moving smoothly, pacing the effort with your leader. So you want to stay on the yellow beacon. Don't be surging off the front and dropping off the back. Try to modulate your effort, use your cadence, use the draft, use all these tips that we've been talking about today. Watch the Nerdcast on physiological economy if you haven't already, and we will see you on Thursday.